talktomeinkorean by Kimi입니다. Hi, this is Kimi Park from Kimi Korea, and today we are reviewing this book by talktomeinkorean. The Korean Verb Guide in 2 volumes. It is a guide to the most commonly used 100 Korean verbs. If we look at the list, it goes from 가다, 오다, 먹다, 보다, etc. Very beginner level, to some more advanced verbs such as 피하다, which is to avoid. The guide is separated in 2 volumes. The first one has the first 50 and the second one has the next 50 words, so that makes it 100. Let's have a look at how it's made. So the book starts with an explanation of how to use this book, and then you have general rules of verb conjugation in Korean. It explains action verbs versus descriptive verbs, also known as adjectives, the formality level, dictionary form, 아어요, present tense, past tense, future tense, present progressive. It explains the basic rules for the most common conjugation, but it's fairly brief. And then we go straight to each word. So let's take the first one, for example. We have 가다, which is to go or to leave. And then here we have the conjugation. There are 22 declinations that are explained in this book. From the present, 가요, the past, 갔어요, the future, 오겠생, 갈 거예요, the present progressive, 가고 있어요. Then in imperative, we have the 존댓말 가세요, then just regularly polite 가요, then 반말 가 or 가라. And then the different modifier. You have 간, 가는, 갈, 가던, 갔던. And then you have want, 가고 싶어요, can, 할 수 있어요. Then it's not written here, but you also have can't, which will be 갈 수 없어요. Then you have don't in imperative, but in 존댓말, 가지 마세요. Then you have the different version of whether or not, 가는지 in the present, 갔는지 in the past, and 갈지 in the future. Tell someone that, 간다고. That's when you are quoting what somebody said. Tell someone to, 가라고. These are all the different forms that you have explained in this book, and you will see on some of the verbs you don't have them. For example, you have 가깝다, which means to be close. You only have a few of them because it is not applicable to, for example, imperative, because it's a descriptive verb or adjective, so it doesn't work with the imperative. Then you have 5 sample sentences, and then you have a quiz with 3 sentences where you are supposed to use this verb but in the correct form. And you have the answer right under. And then it's basically the same for each verb. Every few verbs you have just this page with an illustration and just a sentence under it. So like here you have people sleeping and you have 잘 자요, which means sleep well or good night. And you have a few more of these, like you have a person standing outside in what seems to be winter and it's written 너무 추워요, it's really cold. That's basically it. It repeats itself for the rest of the book. The 100 verbs chosen are indeed very useful verbs. They are very, very commonly used. The 22 declinations of these words are indeed the most common one as well. The layout is very clear and I personally really like the color, white and green. I think it goes very well together. It's written on the website that they separated into 2 volumes, so you would be able to take with you the part that you are currently studying, which avoids having a really big book to carry around. This guide also has an audio version. If you download the Talk to Me in Korean audio app called ttmik audio, you can scan the barcode of the book and you will have the audio available. So the audio only says the verb itself and then the example sentences. It doesn't say all the declination of it. So let's see one as an example.
가다, 가다. 내년에 한국에 갈 거예요. 내년에 한국에 갈 거예요. 거기 혼자 가지 마세요. 거기 혼자 가지 마세요.
Every time it says it one time normally and then one time very slowly, decomposing the pronunciation. And the audio is provided without extra charge. And the very fact that they are providing not only the audio but example sentences is a great way for you to see the verb in action in context, which is very important in understanding how to use a verb, how to use the given declination properly. However, there is something I don't really like about that. And what I dislike is the fact that there are only 5 sample sentences each time, meaning that out of the 22 declination, you're only going to see 5 of them. And I think that it defeats a little bit the purpose of the book. Another thing that I dislike is the fact that the layout is very consistent, but it doesn't really highlight any of the irregularity in the verbs that they are presenting. So for example, if there's something irregular, like we have that here, which means to hear or to listen, and this is an irregular verb in diet, which needs to be transformed into ryut when it's conjugated, so it's not 듣어요, it's 들어요. And you don't really see it, and it's not really explained or it's not really highlighted. I think it would have been better if they had changed the color on those to really highlight these differences and put like a little post-it type of little note to explain why it's different and just really highlight these type of things, because these books are a lot more targeted for beginners, and these are the type of thing that you're going to really struggle at the beginning in conjugating the Korean verbs. My other critic of this book would be, is this really useful? Maybe to some of you it would be, but I also find that list of verbs and the different way of conjugating them, even with example sentences, albeit without the audio, is something that is fairly easy to find online, especially for these very, very common 100 verbs. So I personally think this is not the most useful book that you could get from Talk to Me in Korean as a beginner. However, as an alternative, on the Talk to Me in Korean website, when you have the Pro subscription, it has a class where it gives you the same 100 Korean verbs conjugated, and it's a listen and repeat type of class. The only difference is that in this online course, they only give you the past, the present, and the future. There's not the extra advanced declination. And obviously, as it is a listen and repeat type of course, it has an audio in the online version.
가다.
Now let's conjugate this verb into the present tense.
가요. 가요.
One more time.
가요.
Now let's change this to the past tense.
갔어요. 갔어요.
One more time.
갔어요.
This time, say this in the future tense.
갈 거예요. 갈 거예요.
One more time.
갈 거예요.
I go to school.
학교에 가요. 학교에 가요.
One more time.
학교에 가요.
I went to school.
학교에 갔어요. 학교에 갔어요.
One more time.
학교에 갔어요.
I will go to school.
학교에 갈 거예요. 학교에 갈 거예요.
One more time.
학교에 갈 거예요.
So let's recap. These two volumes of the Korean Verb Guide cost $28. The ebook version is $21. It's a level beginner to intermediate. There is romanization in the declination of the verb, but not in the example sentences. Yes, there is an audio. And my overall opinion is that it's an okay book, but it's not the most useful book when it comes to getting started on your Korean journey. If verb conjugation is really something that you're struggling with, potentially it's quite useful to you to have something visual with all the example all in one paper format. Although there's also an ebook, but the ebook is pretty much the same price. Of course, now you have to take in consideration the sending fee and all that. So overall, this is one of the Talk to Me in Korean books that you could potentially skip. That's it for me today. I hope this review was useful to you. If so, please let me know by leaving me a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.